In the sweltering heat of Houston, Mario Alvarez wiped the sweat from his brow, tightening the last bolt under a 1998 Ford pickup. His garage, a rust-stained workshop on the city's outskirts, was barely surviving. Rent was overdue, parts were on credit, and the only thing keeping him going was his late father's toolbox and a dream: don't let the shop die. Just as he was closing for the day, his phone buzzed. A private airstrip just outside the city needed a mechanic, immediately. Something about a failed engine on a jet. Big money, urgent job. Mario didn't ask questions. He grabbed his kit, jumped into his dented Chevy, and drove. When he arrived, the sun was dipping low, casting golden light across the sleek body of a luxury private jet. Ground crew stood frozen, scratching their heads. One of the turbines refused to start. The pilot looked panicked. The jet's departure had already been delayed, and no one could figure out the issue. "Who's the mechanic?" a sharp voice demanded. Mario stepped forward, his uniform smeared with grease. "I am." "You've got 20 minutes, the pilot snapped. "Owner's furious. Doesn't like to wait." Mario didn't respond. He simply listened to the hum of the auxiliary power, crouched near the engine, and ran his fingers along the panel. Something didn't feel right. Within seconds, he found it: a loose fuel injection sensor, misaligned and overheating. A small issue, but one that could have caused a fire mid-air. He tightened it, recalibrated the sensor, and rebooted the engine's diagnostics. The turbine whirred back to life like magic. The pilot was stunned. "What the hell? We've had 3 guys look at this. None of them saw that." Mario shrugged. "Sometimes you gotta listen to the machine like it's talking to you." From behind them, heels clicked against the runway. Mario turned, and froze. A woman emerged from the jet's doorway. She was striking, poised, and unmistakably familiar. It was Valeria Cruz, the award-winning Mexican-American actress known across the world. Star of action films, dramas, and red carpets. Her expression was unreadable as she approached. "You're the mechanic?" she asked. Mario nodded. "Yes, ma'am." "You fixed it?" "Yes." She looked at him for a long second. Then she held out her hand. "I'm Valeria." "Thank you." He hesitated before shaking it, his own hands rough and calloused. "Mario." "You're welcome." Most people would have gushed. Asked for a selfie. Bragged. But Mario didn't. He just packed his tools quietly. Valeria noticed. "Do you always talk to engines?" she asked, intrigued. "Sometimes," he said. "Engines don't lie." That made her smile. She turned to the pilot. "Delay the flight by an hour." The pilot blinked. "Excuse me?" "You heard me." She turned back to Mario. "Would you join me for a coffee in the terminal? I'd like to thank you properly." Mario blinked. "You don't need to." "I want to." They sat in the VIP lounge. Worlds apart in status but unexpectedly comfortable. She asked about his life. He talked about the garage, his father teaching him how to rebuild a carburetor at 10, and how engines were simpler than people. She laughed. "I've spent my whole life around people who lie with smiles. You're different." He shrugged. "I just fix what's broken." Valeria looked down at her coffee. "I've been around million-dollar directors and producers, but none of them could have done what you did today. And none of them would have walked away without asking for something in return." Mario looked at her sincerely. Helping people shouldn't come with strings. That silence between them said more than words. When it was finally time for her to board, she turned at the steps. "Mario?" "Yeah. I think you fixed more than an engine today." She reached into her coat and pulled out a card. "My team will contact you. I want someone like you maintaining all my aircraft from now on." Not just because you're good, but because I trust you. He took the card in stunned silence. Weeks passed. True to her word, Valeria's team hired him, not just to service her fleet, but to manage a new maintenance facility she funded in Houston under his name, Alvarez Aerotech. But that wasn't all. Their connection grew. Messages turned into calls. Calls into meetings. And eventually, what began on a runway turned into something neither of them expected: respect, companionship, and something quietly powerful. One evening, as they watched the sunset over the airfield from her jet's open hangar, she smiled and said, "You talk to engines. I talk to cameras. But maybe, we both needed someone who just listens." Mario took her hand and replied, "Maybe what we both needed was something real."